Santa in Kinmen. The Story of Father Bernard M. Druetto. Written by Amy Yu, illustrated by Charlee Brown. Shoo! Shoo! Only halfway through eating dinner, we heard the sound of cannonballs flying through the air. With haste, we all hid in the air raid shelter previously dug inside the room. Since the artillery battle began on August, there were artillery shells coming from China whenever it was an odd-numbered day on the calendar. Thus, for us Kinmen residents, hearing the sound of the gun firing and hiding in the air raid shelters had become a regular part of life. The air inside the air raid shelter was stuffy, hot, and humid. We dozed off around a small kerosene lamp until the sound of the artillery fire faded away. Just then, we heard a commotion outside. Our neighbor, Mrs. Jean, was accidentally hit by the shrapnel and was crying out loudly because of the pain. Not long after, a white-bearded foreigner appeared out of nowhere and helped her to bandage the wound. I had seen this person before. It's Santa. Last time my mom and I went to the church to collect flour, he gave me so many pieces of candy. I didn't know he was a doctor. Compared to the regular Santa, who appeared once a year wearing a red hat and riding on a sleigh, this Santa wore military uniforms, rode a horse and a motorcycle, and drove a jeep. Yes, this Dr. Santa lived in Kinmen, and every month or two he gave out gifts like milk powder, flour, and clothes. I even heard that the hospital was actually beside the church building. The war had changed the lives of all Kinmen residents. Whether boy or girl, as long as a person became 16 years old, he or she had to receive military training. In fact, just a few days ago, the boy next door, Shui, was sent to carry supplies during the assault on the beach. Unfortunately, he was injured and already sent to Santa's hospital. Before going home from school, I intentionally made a detour to the church to take a look. To my surprise, I caught the elderly helper, Mr. Chung, sitting at the doorway and dozing off. Mr. Chung stretched his back and said to me, "Oh, this Santa is so busy every day that he doesn't even sleep in the middle of the night. That's why I'm so sleepy right now, because I have to stay up at night with him." Just as we finished talking, I saw Santa on his motorcycle with a medicine kit on his back. He had just returned from outside. As he was passing me, he petted the top of my head, winked his eyes at me, and went inside to visit the patients again. In addition to the sick and injured, the church also accommodated some mentally challenged children whom Santa gently spoke to and frequently hugged. I walked to Shui's bedside to greet him and noticed he had improved much as a result of the care provided by Santa and the foreign nurses. Shui told me how fortunate that this hospital is free. Otherwise, my family would not be able to pay for the medical fees. It was at this moment that I smelled something really good. The night had not even darkened, but they were already delivering dinner. Every patient and their family members received one, including me. Having finished dinner, I left the patient ward and saw from a distance Santa was feeding animals in the yard. There were dogs, ducks, geese, and a horse. When he saw me watching, he waved to me to come closer, and I noticed he had a camera hanging around his neck. Santa picked up his camera and took photos of me with the animals. I was startled when the flash suddenly came on so brightly. Looking back, I recall the back of Santa's arm was wrapped in gauze. When I asked him about it, he replied, "Oh, it's no big deal. Just some shrapnel pieces that scraped my hand. That's all. It's nothing compared to when I had to face a tiger in Hunan, China." I remembered hearing from adults that when the August 23rd artillery battle broke out, Santa went to Okinawa just in time to buy medical supplies. He had boarded a warship from Penghu and hurried back to Kinmen to treat the wounded. However, the gunfire was so violent that the warship could not dock on the shore. At that moment, he actually jumped right into the ocean and swam ashore to safety. He sure was the bravest person in all of Kinmen. Well, it was getting late, and I had to rush home before the curfew at night. Before I left, though, Santa pointed toward the fruit and vegetable gardens and invited me to pick some to bring home. My mother would be very happy to see me bring home such a wonderful gift of produce. "Father Bernard! Father Bernard! Someone in the nearby village has such a horrible stomachache that they can't even walk. Please go and take a look," shouted Mr. Ah Chung. As soon as Santa heard the news, he immediately picked up his first aid kit, hopped on his motorcycle, and whisked away. Even though I knew his real name was Father Bernard M. Druetto, I still liked to call him Santa, because as long as he was around, every day was like celebrating Christmas. Even if the artillery shells continued, having him here always made me feel a bit of joy.